Well, this was an interesting weekend with this car. I kind of got a little bit more runs out of it than what I was really expecting. Oh, Mount Forest, I cut a transmission fluid line, lost all the fluid, transmission went dry. First heat, I broke a fitting off the front of the transmission. Now, before I explain it to you, as you guys take a look, the driver's side frame rail is pretty much gone to the point where it's not doing me any good. And if you take a look, look how exposed all these fittings are. Now, what it ended up taking me out in the first heat is this fitting right here got smashed off. So then I had to cut this flush, well, not flush, but I had to cut it shorter because it broke off weird. And then I had to cut this shorter because it broke off weird. And then I had to kind of twist it and then hammer it and then try to JB weld it. I really didn't think it was even going to hold together, but it actually did pretty good. Oh, but that's the kind of condition she's in right now. Next thing that happened is my Jeffy's Fab Farm shifter got bent. I don't know what happened, but this piece here, so the end of the actual shifter, was hitting this, and then it started hitting the transmission, so I started having it really hard. You can kind of see the scrape marks on the side of the transmission. It was really, really hard to find a gear near the end of it, and I don't know. This transmission has been through a lot. Just this weekend, I've ran this thing dry of fluid 3 times. 3 times! It's survived pretty good for what it is. I'm going to give it that. This transmission has seen much better days. This bumper was absolute junk. Even with the frame rails as bad as they were, this bumper was junk. Never ever run a Hyundai Santa Fe bumper. Not worth your time. But I knew it wasn't worth my time, and I had 0 expectations for it, so I'm not too let down. Some weird things happened to this car. And as you can see, my driver's side front end is nice and tall. I still got the height. Let's go take a look at the passenger side. As you can see here on the passenger side, my car is super, super low. I couldn't figure out what it was until after my heat. I actually jacked up on the subframe and then put a pry bar in between the hole in the rim and the brake and had a 5-foot pry bar all the way up to here and me jumping on it to realize my strut had actually seized in the down position. I've never had this happen before. The strut is not catching on anything. As you can see, there's still light between the strut and the back block. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure how it happened. But this strut has seized in the down position. And it kind of sucks because this was a very muddy derby. As you guys can tell, it rained hard all day. We haven't had rain here in about a month. And then all of a sudden, all it does is rain at the demolition derby. And then there was a couple big fires. You guys probably seen those fires. One of them took almost 20 minutes to put out. And the firefighters put a lot of extra water onto the track. So the track was nothing but a very topsoily dirt composition. Anyway, if this strut hadn't seized in the down position, I probably would have even done better than what I did in the finals. I ended up just getting stuck. This car drove on the trailer and I don't know. I am not running it again. This car can go die. Passenger door got pushed in a little bit more. Even rocker and everything is pushed in. Like this thing here has had a rough life. Still didn't come into the battery though. The car still runs and drives good. You can see the mud that was coming up through that drain hole on the ground. That shows you how muddy this track was. It was like a soupy mixture. Look at the roof. This rear door is pretty much what started taking me out. The door kinked in quite a bit. I'm gonna say, as you can see, that's almost a foot that door went in. And then when that went in, my speaker deck blew out. Hello, spring. I can see you around the corner. And then, once the speaker deck's gone, the whole back of the car is gone. After the Consolation, my entire speaker deck was at my rear roof. So then I used, they got the loader to push it down so I could see for the finals. But honestly, I was just grasping for straws. There's not much more that this car could have been done. I really like this tire. It was the only tire that ended up fitting, but I lost the valve stem. I don't know where it went, so we'll just put a new valve stem into it. Hopefully the tire's okay. Those tires are getting harder and harder to come by. Rear bumper came in solid. What's funny is all the rear tie-down points still work great. As you can see, the strap tied down to them. Oh. Coming over to the driver's side here. This side doesn't look as bad. The door's starting to go. Well, that's pretty sharp. But I have 3 videos of backwards and only 2 of forwards because my camera died at the inside. But if you take a look, it might just be pointing at the roof because of how bad that roof actually went. You can see some of the wrinkles and crinkles through the roof. And if you think that's bad, look at my floor. They threw a whole bunch of bumpers and stuff in here. Wish these bumpers were actually worth something instead of just junk, but I guess that's all that falls off. But now I got a couple extra scrap metal bumpers. Now, this place was a stock demolition derby, and you guys may remember I had that big sheet of steel back here because that's what they required. As soon as I seen people passing tech without that, I was like, my death trap steel's coming off. So I took it off, and I ran this gas tank protector, but this is a very, very tight gas tank protector. And what I mean by tight is it's within 2 inches of this gas tank all the way around. It was 8 inches from that floor when I got there. And this was the 3rd derby that this thing was going on. It was 8 inches away. So, I don't know, I think this thing worked out pretty good. It didn't even come into the gas tank protector yet. All this does is actually protect the gas tank. This does not reinforce the car at all. Would have been nice if I could have made it reinforce the car, but not within the rules. But as you can see, the floor is pretty much just gone. You can see it tore all the way across. Over there, you can see right light through it. The speaker deck's gone. But you know what? It didn't really go much past there. Right there on the passenger side. And then the driver's side didn't even go that far. Driver's side still looks that good. Sorry, pretty good. Starting to split right there. Starting to bend. You can see the cracks all coming through. But other than that, it's not that bad. As you can see all the way back in here, it's pretty good shape. But because of the situation with the doors and the pillars giving out, she pretty much buckled up. Still pretty impressed with this. Still pretty impressed though. But unfortunately, this car will not be run again. It is not worth fixing. It is not worth the time. It's not worth the effort. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the motor, scrap the transmission, put a new transmission onto this, and probably put this motor into infected. Because infected's giving me a lot of problems, and I don't really know what's going on. I'm going to change a couple more things on it before I do that, but I'm almost at that point right now. So, what do you guys think of this car? I think for the low expectations I gave myself for this car, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. What do you guys think? I don't think it's worth another run. I really don't. With that transmission acting up the way it is, this thing's pretty much toast, I think. Pretty much toast. But thanks for watching, boys and girls. We'll see you back here tomorrow.